to create some more content for you. He's talking about some directors he knows. These are the Teenage Film Snob hiatus shows.
Welcome to Ours, a Teenage Film Snob. I'm James Chalmers, your friendly neighbourhood film snob. Another week, another director's focus. The last time we hung out, if it is been released the way that I plan to, we would have talked about the films of Kevin Smith, the longest director's focus so much because he had so many in his filmography. So I thought I'd follow up that episode with something a little bit shorter, give you a bit of a palate cleanse. We are going to stick in the world of comedy. We're going to go to another American director, and again, highlighting a director who maybe doesn't get as much attention, which is crazy, because this director who I'm going to talk about today has got like over 100 director's credits, which is kind of insane. However, of those 100 plus credits, only 5 of them are feature films. Today I'm talking about a former Saturday Night Live cast member. He was the director of a large variety of digital shorts. He directs music videos. He is 1/3 of The Lonely Island. If you're not familiar with The Lonely Island, they sang a bunch of funny songs, to put it very reductively, during their time in SNL. Most popular from that group would probably be Andy Samberg, who went on to be in Brooklyn Nine-Nine, as well as a bunch of other things. I am, of course, talking about Akiva Schaffer. Akiva Schaffer is a fantastic director, very funny writer, very funny performer. The spotlight doesn't move to him very often, and I believe that is by his own choice. He tends to work behind the scenes quite a bit. But he has directed 5 incredibly funny movies, 2 of which I watch pretty much on an annual basis. The other 3... Well, 2 of the other 3 are both relatively new, and then the other one I haven't seen since the theatrical window. So, as always, I will be going through the films one by one, lowest to highest in terms of ranking. In terms of those I've only seen once, they will be automatically positioned a little bit lower on the list to allow time for me to rewatch them and maybe change my opinion later. Obviously, given that he has got over 100 shorts as well, we're not going to go through those. Plus, he hosts a podcast in which he's doing that, the Lonely Island and Seth Meyers podcast. Each week they talk about the digital shorts. What can I say about those shorts that those guys who are actually there can't say and do better? But if you haven't listened to that podcast, it's really funny. The guys are great and tell some really wonderful stories. But after listening to that show and realizing that he was responsible for the Naked Gun reboot, / sequel, requel, whatever you want to call it, I got more excited to talk about him as a filmmaker. And so I thought it'd be fun to go down a path less traveled. Just like previously when I talked about Matthew Vaughn, I said he's not someone who comes up in conversation a lot. Akiva Schaffer, I never really hear people talk about, and that's not to say that people aren't having conversations about him, but in my circles I never hear him mentioned, which is a real shame because he is wonderful. So, there are 5 films. I imagine we'll have this wrapped up pretty quickly. That's the way these things tend to go. The good news is 4 of the 5 I remember very, very well. The 5th one I don't remember as much, but that's okay. So, the films of Akiva Schaffer, coming in 5th place, ranking his films, is a film called The Watch. Now, in America, I believe it was called Neighborhood Watch, but in Australia it was called The Watch. And this was a film starring Ben Stiller, and Richard Ayoade, and a couple of other people. I think Vince Vaughn was in it, and maybe Josh Gad. I can't remember exactly who the 4th person was, but I think it was Josh Gad. And basically, some strange things are happening in the neighborhood. People are getting, going missing. There's some weird things happening. There's some vandalism. If I remember correctly, this is the one I remember the least. And so some brave neighbors get together and form a watch alliance, and they're going to patrol the streets and protect the people in the neighborhood because they feel the police aren't able to do it. During all of this, they uncover a secret invasion in which aliens have infiltrated their town. That's about as much as I remember. There are a couple of other things. Like I remember the big twist, which I won't spoil for you. And I remember them going over to a neighbor's house and there being a weird orgy happening, and the boys from the Lonely Island were in that scene. I remember it being quite funny. I remember really enjoying it in a time where I wasn't seeing a lot of new comedy. I found that one to be quite fun. It has been 15 years since I've watched it. It's been a long time since I've checked out. I don't think it's even readily available anymore. Interestingly enough, on a recent episode, and when I say recent, in the last 12 months, I think Tina brought this movie up in conversation, of all people. And I had a really good time with it. I actually didn't even know until I was going through his filmography that Akiva directed this. But it makes sense. The comedy style is very much within his sensibilities. And if anyone knows where to get it, let me know, because I would love to rewatch it, but it seems to be pretty hard to find at the moment. I'll have to go doing some digging around my local thrift store maybe a little bit later. Given that's the only one I don't really remember, I'm going to leave it there. There are two others I've only seen once, but I remember them much more vividly. So coming in at fourth place is a movie I've already mentioned, and it's The Naked Gun. Akiva Schaffer directed The Naked Gun. Again, I don't know whether you would call it a reboot or a sequel or a requel or a reinterpretation. It does reference the original films quite heavily, so I am somewhat tempted to include it in the sequel conversation. In this film, we have Liam Neeson take over the role of Frank Drebin Jr., the supposed son of Leslie Nielsen's character from the original trilogy. We've got Paul Walter Hauser, who you would know from Richard Jewell. He was in Fantastic Four. He's been in a bunch of stuff. I, Tonya, wonderful actor. And he plays the George, I can't remember the actor's name. There's a real running theme in these episodes where I keep forgetting things. But he plays Liam Neeson's partner. We also have Danny Houston playing the villain role, and Pamela Anderson as the love interest in a Priscilla Presley-ish role as well. I really enjoyed Naked Gun. I took my dad for Father's Day. We sat down and watched it together. And I was laughing non-stop. The first half an hour in particular is whip smart. It feels very much like it's interpreting the formula of the original films, while still trying to be its own thing. It's never trying to copy Naked Gun, but it's also never trying to be better than or improve on Naked Gun. It is following that same path. The gag I liked maybe the most was the coffee gag, where every time a cop enters a room, they get offered a new coffee. I liked the take a chair gag, or take a seat, I should say. There's a really funny bit, I don't know how others felt about it, but there's a bit where Liam Neeson's going off about TiVo and his first season of Buffy, which I thought that monologue was very, very funny. And of course, there's a wonderful montage where they're falling in love, go on holiday into the snow, and then get chased around by a possessed magical snowman. Great stuff. I may be spoiling the film a little bit, but by the time this drops, the flick will have been out and probably done in theaters. This is a film that's not particularly plot heavy. I've seen some people critique that. For a Naked Gun film, I don't need a heavy plot. What I want is 30 gags a minute. That's what I want from the Naked Gun. I want kind of unabridged, unrestrained, slapstick, just balls to the wall jokes. Tell me as many jokes as you can in the shortest period of time, and that's what the Naked Gun did. There was also a very Austin Power inspired gag where someone is looking into the apartment from across another building. They're using infrared cameras, and because of that, there's a lot of suggestive imagery, which I thought was very funny as well. I really enjoyed it. It's probably one of the more restrained Akiva films, because Akiva's sense of humor and the kind of films he tells tend to be a lot dirtier, especially if you listen to the Lonely Island stuff. I know that Yorma and Andy obviously contribute to that as well, but if you combine the three of them, it's pretty full on. And when we get to my higher up films, you'll see what I'm talking about. But I thought The Naked Gun was wonderful, and a really fun shout out to those old style spoof comedies that we just don't see anymore. So in fourth place is The Naked Gun. Coming in at third was a real surprise to me. It was kind of announced, it was during the pandemic. It was announced kind of not too long before it was released. There wasn't a lot of hype build-up. I didn't even know this thing existed. When I saw the trailer, I was enamored. I couldn't wait to watch it. And I actually remember I started watching it by myself. And after about 5-10 minutes, I stopped. I walked to the playground where my wife and daughter were. My wife was actually going to let me spend some... she was going to permit me. She was basically like, look, you've been doing a lot of work, you're feeling a bit run down, why don't we step out of the house for half an hour or so and you can just unwind and relax? And I was like, that sounds nice, maybe I'll watch a movie. And after 5-10 minutes of this movie, I was like, I can't watch this without Tina. I think she's going to dig it. I'm going to hang out with my family and spend some quality time with them, and then I'll watch this with Tina later. The film is Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers. This was released in, I want to say, 2021 or 2022, and it's shot very much in the style of Who Framed Roger Rabbit. In fact, a lot of the plot points are quite similar as well. In this film, Chip and Dale are no longer friends. They've gone their separate ways. After the TV show was cancelled, they kind of stopped talking to each other. I can't remember which one is which, I'll be honest. But one of them decided to retire and go into insurance or accounting, something like that. And the other one continued to chase fame and started doing convention appearances and went through a surgical process where they converted themselves from 2D to 3D animation. That's the premise. And then what you find out is that all the toons in town are disappearing. There's an underground ring that are abducting toons and stealing their likeness rights, and then making them look like international rip-offs so they can make money on the international copyright law, basically. So like Flounder gets kidnapped, they erase him and redraw him as this weird looking fish, and then international film companies don't need to observe the copyright law. They can just use this version of Flounder instead. Quite an advanced topic for a kid's film. It is PG, and it actually feels tonally very much like Who Framed Roger Rabbit, where it is a kid's film, but it's definitely winking at the camera to the adults as well. You've got John Mulaney and Andy Samberg as the main voices of Chip 'n Dale, and they work together so well. Of course, given that he's in The Lonely Island also, Andy Samberg is given a couple of moments to rap, and we're all the better for it. One of the greatest moments in the film is when they go to a cartoon convention and you see all the knockoffs or all the characters that people have forgotten, and they're trying to make money doing their photo appearances. One of the best examples was Ugly Sonic. So if you remember years ago when the Sonic the Hedgehog film trailer first dropped, it's not the version we've seen in the movies now. There was a different design and people hated it. They put that in the film and called him Ugly Sonic. He had human teeth and all sorts of stuff. It's a really funny film. The blend of 2D and 3D animation with live action is seamless. It works really, really well. It's very funny, and it's just a legitimate, good detective story. So I really enjoyed Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers. I would 100% encourage it. My wife, who is not a fan of anything Chipmunks, Alvin and the Chipmunks, Chip 'n Dale, none of them, she's not a fan of the voice. She finds it very annoying. She liked this flick as well. It's really fun. And definitely one that you can watch for the whole family. The first and only one in the series you can watch with the whole family. Now we're getting to the pointy end. Talking about number 2 and number 1, they're almost inseparable for me. I think they're both equally as good. And the deciding factor between number 2 and number 1 for me was that the one that is in first place is basically there out of legacy. It's the one that started it all. It's the one that's the quicker watch, the one I can throw on at any point, and not have to worry about tiny ears because it's not too offensive. But they're both equally good. I love them both. And my one in number 2 does have the better soundtrack. In the number 2 position for the Akiva Schaffer films, I'm putting in Popstar, Never Stop, Never Stopping. This is a mockumentary about a famous rapper called Connor For Real. He used to be in a rap group called the Style Boys, which is basically just a fictional version of The Lonely Island, because Yorm and Akiva are in it as well. Andy Samberg plays Connor For Real, and the documentary follows his journey leading up to the release of his second album, and he doesn't want to talk about the Style Boys anymore. He's sick of being thought of as a member of that group. He just wants to focus on his solo career. Yorma is actually still with him. He's the DJ in the group, and he wears a big helmet on his head and stuff like that. Akiva and Andy have stopped talking. Akiva now is a farmer in the Midwest, and they basically had a falling out over ownership, over lyrics. There was a song that Andy, or Connor I should say, featured on, and everyone was like, wow, that verse is so incredible. It's one of the best written verses ever. How did Connor come up with it? And instead of saying, oh, actually my friend did, he took all the credit for it, and then the group split up. The film is full of cameos. So many celebrity cameos. Usher's in this film. Justin Timberlake's in this film. I think Mariah Carey's in it. Pretty much everyone from the music industry, especially hip-hop and dance music in the mid-2010s, shows up in this film at one point. We also have... Sorry, I lost my place for a second. James Buckley, who plays Jay in The Inbetweeners. He shows up as one of the entourage. And Tim Meadows plays the manager. We've also got Chris Redd. Chris Redd is also an SNL guy, and he plays a competing rapper called Hunter for Real. Not Hunter for Real. I think just Hunter, if I remember correctly. And it's a Tyler, the Creator type character. And he's meant to be like the new wave, the edgy version of hip-hop, and he's going to push the mainstream out and kind of dominate. And it's just really funny. It's just basically, what would a Lonely Island movie look like? Well, this is it. The songs are incredible. Finest Girl, which is a song about about wanting to sleep with a girl because she looks like Bin Laden. There is Equal Rights, which is the most sexist misunderstanding of what equality really is. There's a song about Mona Lisa, which is probably my favorite on the album. Imogen Poots is also in this film. I'm a big Imogen Poots fan, as you know, if you listen to the podcast. And she plays Connor's love interest, Ashley Wednesday, which is also a really great gag name. It's just really fun. I really enjoy it. It always leaves me in tears. It's so funny. The music is fantastic, and it's just a great music movie. Like I don't know if I'd quite call it a musical, but definitely on the path to being a musical for sure. And I really, really enjoy it. And I recommend anyone who thinks it sounds vaguely interesting to check it out. I would almost go so far as to say it's this generation's Spinal Tap. It's a great flick. Which brings us to number one. We're at number one in my top 5 list for the films of Akiva Schaffer. If you know who Akiva is, if you know who the Lonely Island are, you probably know about this film. But if you don't, this is one of the funniest films you'll ever watch. It's very silly, but it is so funny. And just like The Naked Gun, it is joke a second. They're cracking jokes from the minute the credits start to the end of the film. It's got an incredible comedic cast. Not only is Andy Samberg in the lead, Yorma is in there as well. Isla Fisher, Will Arnett, Danny McBride, Bill Hader, Ian McShane is in this film, Chris Parnell, and this film is called Hot Rod. Hot Rod is the story of a man named Rod Kimball. In fact, I included Hot Rod in my episode 100. If you remember the radio play we did for episode 100, I borrowed heavily from Hot Rod in one of the segments there. And Rod Kimball is a young man, and all he wants his entire life is to be a stuntman. He believes that he's Evel Knievel's son. Either that, or sorry, no, his father was friends with Evel Knievel, and his father was a great stuntman as well. So all he's ever wanted to do was become another great stuntman like Evel Knievel and his father. He believes that after his father died, that's why his mum married Ian McShane. And Ian McShane is this like butch, like macho father figure who just wants to beat Rod up all the time in a very comedic way. And then early on in the film, Ian McShane's character is diagnosed with an incurable disease. And everyone knows about it except for Rod because they're worried he's too sensitive to handle it. So Rod vows he's going to earn enough money doing stunts and making a stunt movie to save his life so he can then beat him up. It's very silly, as I've said about a lot of these films, but it's so much fun. It's got such a pure heart. It's such a positive film, and it's all just about following your dreams, no matter how ridiculous they may seem. And it's really, like, I cannot understate how funny this is. It's so funny. The visual gags, the stunts gone wrong, and like some of the stunts are deliberately terrible looking. So, for example, Rod was going to jump over a swimming pool and he lands in the pool almost straight away. Sometimes it's just him doing a weird jump from standing still. His outfit is incredible. It's really good. It's a really good flick. I love it to death. I think it's so funny. I watch this and Popstar every single year. They're both number ones in my heart, if I'm honest with you. But that is it. I recommend all of those films, particularly Popstar and Hot Rod. They're going to give you the greatest taste of what it is to watch an Akiva Schaffer film. But Naked Gun is really fun, but I've only seen that once. Chip and Dale I've only seen once, but it was a really fun family film. And The Watch I remember really liking, but it's been a minute. So in reverse order, one more time before we get out of here. In 5th place, The Watch. In 4th place, The Naked Gun. 3rd place, Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers. Popstar, Never Stop, Never Stopping takes 2nd place. And in number 1, it's Hot Rod. Go ahead, give them a watch if you've seen them. Let me know what you think. Would you rank them differently? Are you an Akiva Schaffer fan? Do you love The Lonely Island? I'd love to hear all about it. Thank you so much for continuing to listen to my director series while I'm on hiatus. I think this is like the 7th or 8th episode I've been doing. I haven't gone on hiatus technically yet. I'm doing all of this before my break, so I've got plenty of content for you. And I think we're at 7 or 8 episodes recorded now. Which means we're almost at 2 months worth of content, which is fantastic. Follow along online, go to all the socials, all that sort of stuff. And I'll have another director focus for you next week. But in the meantime, as I say on every episode, guys, I was a teenage film snob, but I'm trying to be better. I'll see you next week.